There are pages in history that never made it into textbooks. Events with no monuments, no memorial dates. But that doesn't mean they didn't happen. The greatest crimes are often the ones agreed upon in silence. Today, we open one such story. A story where millions vanished. Money, people, entire cities. An operation sealed in archives. Because silence was profitable. Searching means seeing, and seeing hurts. This was an operation no one ever looked for, because asking meant dying. Operation Gold 9, officially, it doesn't exist. But its shadow is long, whispered among ex-CIA operatives, hinted at in IMF backrooms, buried deep in Swiss banking records. It began in 1991, the moment the Soviet Union collapsed. The empire was falling, and someone was already dividing up the treasure. The Soviet collapse triggered chaos, mass privatization, collapsing currency, hunger. Advisors from the West arrive in Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan. Soviet gold and currency reserves estimated at over $260 billion modern equivalent. In November 1991, 280 tons of gold were removed from the USSR State Bank vault in Moscow. Then, silence. No documents, no reports, no official trace. How do you steal an entire civilization and leave no fingerprints? But there were witnesses. One bank employee, anonymously, said, "I saw foreign observers. They didn't ask. They gave orders." Simultaneously, uranium vanishes from Kazakhstan. Reserve bonds disappear in Ukraine. No handover documents, no new ledgers, only gaps. The perfect crime is one that happens, while the world is too distracted to notice. A shadow group emerges: international bankers, transnational corporations, and ex-KGB agents turned businessmen. The money is laundered through Liechtenstein, the British Virgin Islands, Zurich, Deutsche Bank, UBS, and a maze of shell companies. Strategic factories sold for cents, funded with capital stolen from the very people. Real wealth, factories, energy, land, exchanged for foreign debt. Offshore capital flows replace domestic accountability. Privatization becomes a euphemism for systemic looting. Every dollar traced points to a stolen mine, a dismantled plant, or a silenced worker. Why will governments stay silent? Why didn't they look for the missing billions? Because silence was the deal. In return for resources, Western powers granted legitimacy and loans. In return for obedience, the new elites were promised protection. Archival photos from 1992, 1993 show handshakes, smiles, but not what was signed behind closed doors. Ukraine receives IMF loans, while its own assets had been exported. The West wanted stability and resources, not justice. The new post-Soviet elite wanted immunity, not questions. Those who were supposed to investigate were part of the operation. They had the keys, but they traded them for silence. And now let's look around. Where are those who lost everything? Their children, working abroad, their pensions devalued, their cities hollowed out, and those who took everything? Living in London, the Riviera, Geneva, they never looked back because they knew no one would ask. Graphs show GDP collapse, currency hyperinflation, population decline. Comparison with nations that retained control of their reserves, e.g. Poland, China. When you are robbed, it's a tragedy. When the whole world pretends not to see, it becomes a system. Conclusion. Millions of dollars, millions of lives, millions of chances for a future gone. And no one searched, because asking means digging. Digging means remembering. And memory is dangerous. But memory is also the last thing they can't steal. If we forget, they win. If we remember, they tremble. This is forbidden history. I am the professor, and I am just getting started.